So, oh, here we go. It says we are now live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our webinar where we're going to talk about how to get the most pesos from your dollar earnings. I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. We do have people attending, so can you guys just hit the chat room and say good evening if you guys can hear us? Can you hear me? Good evening, everyone. So I just want to make sure that you guys can hear. Oh, okay. There we go. Ryan said no. So we do have, we are getting through. Okay, there we go. We are getting through. Good to hear. If you can't hear, you may have to refresh. All right. Good to hear. Good evening once again. Guys, and tonight for our special feature. Well, first of all, I want to apologize. We're starting a little bit late. We had some technical issues, but now it seems that everything's going fine. We're able to start the webinar properly. And tonight we have a special guest speaker with us. His name is Miguel Warren, and he is the country manager for Payoneer in the Philippines. He's going to talk to you about our topic, which is getting the most pesos for your foreign currency earnings. Miguel?
Thank you, Jason. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. As Jason mentioned, my name is Miguel. I'm the country manager of Payoneer Philippines, and I'm here today to talk to you about how to get the most pesos, not just for your dollar earnings, but foreign currency earnings, right? Some freelancers and some work from home people actually do earn from clients in the UK, from Europe, even from Australia. And hopefully this session today will give you a view of, I guess, taking a close at some of the fees and costs associated with earning in foreign currencies and give you a much better view of how to maximize that and get the most pesos for these earnings. So the key takeaways today, and hopefully you'll get a chance to understand these items, is number one, I want to help you understand the differences between working on a marketplace and working with direct clients. Number two, I also want to encourage you to pay attention to all the fees that are charged by marketplaces where you might be finding jobs. These are places like Upwork, Freelancer.com, 99 Designs, and Fiverr, because there are a lot of fees related to the service that these marketplaces provide. And so it's very, very good for you to understand what it is exactly that you're paying for and how much of it is impacting your earnings. The third thing that I wanted to share is really to pay attention to the foreign exchange fees associated with your cross-border earnings, your foreign currency earnings. End of the day, if you are based in the Philippines, you are spending in pesos. So if you're earning in another currency, you need to understand how the foreign exchange rates affect the amount of money that you take home every month, every week, whatever it might be. And lastly, of course, how Payoneer can help you in terms of maximizing your foreign currency earnings. So I hope that you'll find a lot of benefit in this. I will get started right away. And of course, if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them at the end, or you can post them in the chat room, and then I'm sure that Jason can work with me to address them individually. So before I kick off into some of the details, I really just wanted to, I guess, talk about how digital, the internet, and online is really driving new entrepreneurial opportunities. It's basically creating a new form of entrepreneur, the digital entrepreneur. The digital entrepreneurs are focused on online commerce and offering products and services that are marketed, delivered, and supported entirely online. Most people, when they think of an entrepreneur, they think of someone who is starting a restaurant or opening a storefront and selling physical goods or having an office and providing services. But the digital entrepreneur is actually someone that's very, very different. He's almost entirely online, and he's able to take advantage of opportunities that previously were not present. So, what are some examples, right? So, here's an example of a guy actually is a Filipino. He started working on a site called Odesk back in 2009. Of course, as you all know, Odesk merged with Elance and is now called Upwork. His name is Alan. He started in 2009 as a freelancer, but today he is now a BPO operator. So he has an office, he has 40 people there, and they are delivering services to clients all over the world, not just on marketplaces, but also direct clients. And you can find these sorts of opportunities and get started really just by looking at some of these platforms: Upwork, Freelancer, Fiverr, People Per Hour, and even new sites like Golance. Or how about this guy? This is particularly interesting to me. Phong Lin, who is actually a Vietnamese entrepreneur. I think he's 22, 23 years old. He's earning tens of thousands of dollars a month selling t-shirts on sites like Teespring, Gear Launch, Sunfrog, and T-Chip. And really, he started out just as a graphic designer, creating small individual designs. And he discovered these platforms, which basically enable him to upload a design, market it to a global audience, and then sell it to international customers without owning a factory, without owning distribution, without having to worry at all about logistics and infrastructure, because these platforms help him fulfill and deliver globally. Or how about this guy? His name is Jay De Vivar, also another Filipino. He started as a blogger, but today he's an affiliate marketer. And what he does is he uses his writing and blogging skills to effectively market his content and then connect advertisers and publishers to be able to generate leads for big companies. And he does that using sites like Taboola, ClickBank, ShareASale, and Commission Junction. So this is another example of someone who started out as a blogger, but is now an international businessman and is able to actually earn quite well by taking advantage of digital opportunities. And of course, many digital entrepreneurs are also winning direct clients online. Most people start off on a marketplace and then they build a reputation, and then they get customer referrals, and then all of a sudden they build a direct relationship with their clients, and they're able now to have longer and deeper relationships directly with their clients wherever in the world they may be. And I guess one of the key things really in terms of looking at your journey as a digital entrepreneur is understanding when you get started and as you grow your business, the differences between doing business on a marketplace and going to direct clients. So if you're on a marketplace, places like Upwork, Freelancer, and Fiverr, you can definitely take advantage of the huge global customer base that they already have. There are many companies and individuals looking for service providers on these platforms because these platforms have been able to establish credibility, trust, and ease of use. They've also been able to build and maintain infrastructure and support to enable commerce. And if you're starting out, you can greatly benefit from this because you don't need to think about all of these things in order to be able to find and connect with buyers, employers, or people who are looking for service providers like yourselves. But of course, the downside to that is that these platforms, they charge fees. These platforms own the information about the client. So technically speaking, that's not even your client really, that's the marketplace's client. And these platforms also take full control of remarketing, loyalty, and branding. So you don't have full control of how you want to present yourself and even price yourself sometimes for your end customer. And another key element to this, of course, is that with this huge global customer base that you are trying to take advantage of, there will also be a lot of competition, potentially offering the same service or product that you are offering. And it sometimes can be a price war. People who may not know exactly what they're looking for can sometimes gravitate towards the lowest priced service provider, and the overall effect is that it brings prices down. Now, that being said, if you are going directly to your clients, you will have full control in terms of branding, in terms of the information that your customers share with you, in terms of your pricing, your promos, any offers or discounts that you want to give, because you're going direct. But of course, the downside and the challenge is that it will take time to build scale, reach, and trust. So, I'm sure you've heard that expression that if you put up a website, it's like a drop in the ocean, right? It's typically very hard for you to find the right leads and find the right customers if all you do is put up a website. It takes time, it takes money, and it takes a lot of effort to be able to bring in customers. Furthermore, managing your own site can also be very time consuming and expensive. And typically, payments are also a challenge that is associated with connecting buyers and sellers directly. So again, if you're starting out, or even if you're already doing online freelancing or digital business, knowing the pros and cons of working on a marketplace versus going direct can provide you with a lot of information about how you want to continue to grow your business. And let's take a deeper dive into those fees, because there are always trade-offs, right? The marketplaces, they provide a service that they obviously spend for, and they will need to charge for. And what I've done in these succeeding slides is I've taken a couple of examples from what I know of marketplace projects, if you like, and some direct projects. And I took a deeper look at some of the service fees, the client-related fees, the payment processing fees, and potentially any other fees that are associated with some of these two options. So let's say, for example, on a project for $400, you wanted to compare the costs associated with either A, doing this project in a marketplace, or B, doing it directly. So this particular marketplace, from what I see and from what I understand of the pricing that they offer, on a project under $500, the service fees are 20%. So that's $80. They also are charging client-related fees to process payments, and I think this is 2.75%. So that's $11 of $400. They also charge a fee whenever you want to access your funds on this marketplace. So that fee can be anywhere from $1 to $2. And there are also other fees related to potentially improving your profile or adding additional benefits to the account that you create on this marketplace. And I think that on this particular site, it's something like $10 a month subscription fee. So looking at that initial $400 project, the net amount to you as the service provider or freelancer is actually only $318. And the actual total project cost, because of the client-related fees, is actually $411. Now, let's contrast that with doing a project directly with a client outside the marketplace. The There are no service fees. There are no client-related fees. On this particular option, there's a payment processing fee of 3% because I assumed that the payment would be made through a credit card, and there are no other applicable fees. But if you notice, there are asterisks next to the net amount and the total project cost. Why? It's because this doesn't actually take into consideration other infrastructure costs that might be associated with winning the client, with finding the client, with maintaining the client, with offering things like time tracking. So, it was very difficult to come up with specifics related to those particular components of delivering a project. But the point I really just wanted to make is on this example, although it looks like it's much more beneficial to go direct, it also will depend on your ability to service direct clients. And understanding what those other infrastructure costs could be will go a long way towards whether you want to continue doing business on the marketplace or if you feel like you can actually go it direct with your client. Here's another example for $1,000. And again, it's from the same marketplace and from the same payment provider. The marketplace charges a lower service fee for projects that are over $500. So in this case, it's $100. The payment processing fee is $27.50. You are still charged the same $1 to $2 processing fee for accessing the payments and the same subscription fee. So again, net amount lower, total project cost higher than going direct, but also a lot of unknowns and a lot of things which, for a new freelancer or a new service provider might take some time to build up. So my point here and the key takeaway is really understanding what you're paying for when you are subscribed to a marketplace or freelancing on a marketplace. And the questions you should be asking yourself are, okay, I know that the marketplace is charging me for all of these things, but if I wanted to go direct, how long will it take to find my own clients? How much will it cost to find my own clients? And what are the additional infrastructure requirements, time tracking, website, and all these other things that I would need to consider to be able to do what the marketplace is doing for me? Hope that makes sense so far. My last point, and probably something that a lot of people probably don't consider when they start their freelancing journey, and even those that have been freelancing for a while probably aren't looking at this as carefully. But the key here is if you are freelancing for international clients, you are earning in a different currency than what you are spending. So if you're living in the Philippines and you're spending in pesos, but you're earning in dollars, pounds, euros, yen, your monthly earnings in local currency are very dependent on the exchange rate. And the exchange rate is moving by the minute, by the hour, daily. So every movement in the exchange rate has an impact on how much your earning is. So rather than, say, for example, if you were employed in a local company and you have an arrangement that you would get, for example, 20,000 pesos every month, if you have a freelancing job and your commitment or your deal is $400 a month, that $400 a month may not always translate 20,000. Sometimes it will be lower, sometimes it might be higher. And if you look at it from the perspective of traveling and going to a different country and then having to change your money to the money of the local country where you're traveling to, I guess it gives you an insight on the fact that the service providers that offer the foreign exchange are taking a fee because it costs money for them to have a bricks and mortar store, to maintain cash on hand, to maintain staff. there is a cost associated with giving you the foreign exchange amounts that they are quoting. And these amounts that they're quoting are actually very different from the what they call real foreign exchange rate that can be found on sites like xe.com and Owanda. And to illustrate that, I've come up with a little bit of a table and an example. So, oops, I forgot to change the date there. But I wanted to make the point that foreign exchange spread are actually a form of fees. So if I went today to xe.com and I saw that $1 is equivalent to 50.25 pesos. And knowing what I know of 4 different online payment options, I then made a comparison. If I transacted $100 using these 4 different options, how much pesos would I receive? So for option 1, this particular provider charges a 4.9% fee. So if today the Forex was 50.25, they'd actually only be offering you 47.79, and the amount that you would receive is 4,778 pesos. Effectively, the fee that you're paying is 246 pesos. And as you go down, you start to see that the fee decreases as the percentage decreases. And looking at the differences between those, so the difference between option 1 and 2 is 95 pesos. The difference between option 2 and 3 is 30 pesos. The difference between option 3 and 4 is 20 pesos. So the difference between option 1 and 4 is actually 145 pesos, which, okay, it might not seem like a lot. That's still a Starbucks coffee, right? But that's only on $100. So what if you were earning, say, $1,000 a month? That difference would be 1,450 pesos, which is already starting to get, quite big. And again, right? That's only on $1,000. What if it was $10,000? On $10,000, that's actually 14,500 pesos. So that's a huge difference. And imagine compounding this monthly, right? So the point really here is that you really do need to be very aware of the foreign exchange rate that your service provider for cross-border payments is giving you, because it could spell a huge difference in terms of your peso earnings from your international clients. And this is where Payoneer can really help you. We are an online cross-border payments company headquartered in New York. We support 150 different currencies in 200 countries. We process billions of dollars a year and have more than 3 million customers globally. These are just some of Payoneer's partners. And when I say partners, I mean marketplaces where you can use Payoneer to get paid. So freelancing, again, this is just a few: Upwork, Freelancer, 99 Designs, People Per Hour. If you have a Payoneer account, you can link it to these platforms and then receive your earnings from these platforms using Payoneer. If you're an online seller, you can do the same and earn from Amazon, Rakuten, Newegg, Wish. If you're an affiliate marketer and into digital marketing, you can use Payoneer to earn from ClickBank, Taboola, DoubleTrader, even Google. For those of you that are into photography, wanting to sell images, Getty Images, you can use Payoneer there and receive money from sales of images. And others, so as I mentioned earlier, these t-shirt platforms, you can also use your Payoneer account to earn from these platforms. And for those that are earning direct, I just wanted to take you through a few slides just to see how Payoneer might be able to help you collect payments from your direct clients. We offer 2 products, really: a global payment service and a billing service. So the global payment service, this is like having a virtual bank account in a different country, but with no minimum maintaining balance. So what this means is that global companies can conveniently send you a payment in their local currency without sending an international wire transfer, so that it is easier for your client and for you to access the funds. We make this available today in 4 different countries: the US, Europe, the UK, and Japan. This is a very, very good way to receive payments from your international clients, because effectively it makes you look very, very professional when you say, here, can you please pay me in my US bank account? It will be easier for your client, and it will also make you look like you are a very serious freelance service provider. But please note that this service of Payoneer is only available for companies to pay you in the US, Europe, UK, and Japan. So if your client is an individual or from a country that is not one of those 4, you can use the billing service to request a payment via credit card. So here's a step-by-step guide. Step 1, just log into your Payoneer. Step 2, select Receive from the menu and then click Global Payment Service. Choose the currency that you want to receive in, and then the details of your bank account in that currency will be displayed to you. So in this particular instance, this Payoneer account, his bank account is in Bank of America. His routing number is indicated there. His account number is there. The account type is checking, and the beneficiary name will be your name or the name that you created on your Payoneer account. And so you can just take these details, give it to your client, and have them then pay you through their online business banking account. And if your client is an individual, you can use our billing service and get paid by credit card or e-check. If the client is in the US, and it's very, very simple. You just log into Payoneer, click Request a Payment, fill in the details, and then you're off and running. So what will happen is you click Request a Payment, the client, you enter the details about your client, such as how much, what is the payment for, a description of the services, and then the payer details like his name, his address, his email, the country where he is, and then you click Send. And then once you click Send, your client will receive an email with a link to make a payment. So in this particular instance, John Smith has received a payment request with payment ID for a one-time payment for design work in the amount of $2,500. So the client just needs to click on View Payment Options, and then he'll be directed to Payoneer Secure landing page where some details about the request will already be pre-filled in for him. And then he can choose either US bank or credit card to make a payment to you, the freelancer or service provider. So if he clicks on credit card, all he needs to do is input his credit card details and then some personal information, and then you are going to receive the payment. But if he clicks bank, there are actually 2 options that show up. And so if he chooses Pay Now, that's actually an e-check payment. So very convenient for him, because all he will need to do there is enter his bank details. And the e-check is a very low-cost way to get paid, but it also takes a little bit longer to receive the payment. I think it's 5 to 7 days. But if the client selects Pay Later, and then he logs into his online bank account and sends a transfer, then he can pay you through your virtual receiving account, and the funds typically appear quicker, anywhere from 2 to 3 days. And then once the payment has been made, the client enters the details, he's done. He receives a thank you email, and the process is complete. The payment is goes through an approval process, and then both you and your client will be notified once the transaction has been processed successfully. This is just a summary of payment options available for those that have direct clients. I'm not going to go through this in detail. I will provide this presentation to Jason so that he can make it available to the community. So you can refer to this for any questions that you might have about how your client might be able to pay you and what the limits, fees, and time might be to access the funds. And once the funds are in your account, there are many ways that you can withdraw them. For me, probably the most cost-effective way is to link your local bank account. Payoneer can be linked to any local bank here in the Philippines that has a SWIFT code. There are no fees associated to this, and the minimum amount that you withdraw can be as little as $50. Now, some other payment providers, I think that their minimum to withdraw with no fees is 7,500 pesos. For Payoneer, $50, that's only 2,500 pesos. The funds will be in your bank account anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. And this is a fast and convenient way to access the funds. Another thing that you can do to access the funds is you can order a optional Payoneer prepaid MasterCard. What this MasterCard allows you to do is to be able to immediately access your funds. So if you cannot wait 24 to 48 hours, if you have the card and you've gotten paid and the funds are in your account, you can immediately insert it into an ATM and get cash. Or you can immediately swipe it in the point of sale or use it online and make a purchase. And this is very handy indeed, but there is a cost to that, especially on the cash component, because if you use your Payoneer MasterCard at an ATM, you will be charged 200 pesos per withdrawal. So if you're trying to access a big amount, say for example 50,000 pesos, and the ATM's limit is 20,000 pesos per transaction, that would mean that you would have to pay 200 times 3 to be able to access the 50,000 pesos and 600 pesos to access that. That's an additional cost that you really need to consider whether it's worth paying that additional amount that is being charged by the ATMs in order to access your funds. And the other thing that you can do, once the funds are in your account, you can actually make a payment to someone else. So let's say, for example, you were working on a freelance project together with someone else, you receive the payment from the client, and then you can immediately transfer funds to someone else, Payoneer to Payoneer, free of charge in multiple currencies, regardless of where you are in the world. This is a very useful and very convenient service, and very, very cost-effective, especially for those that are working in teams. So here is just a summary of how Payoneer helps you get paid from international clients. And basically, it's 4 ways to get paid: from marketplaces, from our billing service, from our global virtual receiving accounts, or from other Payoneer users. And then you can access your funds in 4 easy ways. You can withdraw it to your local bank. You can get a card to withdraw cash at ATMs, or use the card online and in-store. And you can also make other payments to other Payoneer account holders. And again, to crystallize the comparison of how Payoneer can help you maximize the pesos that you receive from your foreign currency earnings, I wanted to just take a snapshot from a report that was published in 2016 by a company called Let's Talk Payments. What they did is they actually looked at a scenario where a company in the US made a $1,000 business payment to a service provider in the Philippines, and 3 different payment methods were compared. So it was bank, PayPal, and Payoneer. So as you can see, with Payoneer, you got the most pesos for the dollars that were transacted in this scenario. And actually, the scenario is a little bit outdated, because I do know that PayPal has increased their conversion fees from 2.5% to 3%. And there are other fees that I think they also increased. So this comparison is outdated, because I think you will get even more pesos now. if you use Payoneer as compared to PayPal. And in this example, it's like 2,500 pesos. So back to the Starbucks scenario, that's 15 premium Starbucks drinks on $1,000 transaction. That's 2,552 pesos. And again, similarly, as you scale that up on $5,000, guys, that's 12,700 pesos. That's actually the cost of some people's monthly car loans. So imagine if you're already earning very well as a freelance professional, or if you have an agency or a company with international clients, you could save up to 12,700 pesos just by switching payment providers. And again, that's also only on $5,000, right? Same scenario. What if it's $10,000? I do know a lot of agency owners and bigger freelance professionals and some international companies that receive much more than this amount. Guys, that's your monthly housing loan. It's 25,500 pesos. So looking at how you access your cross-border payment earnings, your international earnings, it could spell a huge difference in terms of Starbucks, in terms of your monthly car loan, in terms of even your monthly housing loan. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I wanted to also promote Payoneer's blog. This is a great resource to find industry tips, how-to videos, customer success stories. You'll also find a lot of Filipino customer success stories on there, and a lot of very interesting content, not just related to Payoneer, but also related to freelancing and online business. We also have a great social media page on Facebook, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn. And of course, before I wrap up, I wanted to again remind the community of the great partnership that Payoneer has struck with Jason and his community. You can basically get up to $150 just by using Payoneer if you are already earning internationally from either marketplace clients or direct clients. And I think that Jason is also kicking in a couple of additional benefits from his content and the services that he provides to the community. So if you haven't already registered and you haven't already used Payoneer, I strongly encourage you to do so. And I'm here to answer any questions. And we are working very closely with Jason to make sure that questions that come up in the community will be immediately addressed. And we will look forward to working with you guys moving forward to help you in your freelance journey. Jason, that's all I have.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I had to turn on my microphone. Yep. So, Miguel, can you hear me? Oh, oh, there we go.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, we had to reset stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So, sorry, Miguel. We've actually been answering questions in the chat room while you were presenting.
Okay.
So there were a lot of questions answered here.
Okay.
Do we have any unanswered questions? Well, you might want to answer this one. Let's see if I can highlight this. Here we go. So Sharon wants to pay online tickets, I guess, like Cebu Pacific or PAL, using her Payoneer account.
Yes.
Even without a card.
Okay. Even without a card, unfortunately, we can't do that at the moment. But if you have a card, then of course it would be very easy to do that.
Okay, there we go. Let's see if there are any other pending questions. But I do have something to add. So one feature I really do like about Payoneer is the bank account that Payoneer has. So this allows people in the Philippines, freelancers and business owners, to use like US only services, unlike before. For example, I use, for billing my direct clients, I use FreshBooks because it includes the invoices, the hours, it computes a bunch of other stuff, and I send auto invoices. So I use FreshBooks for that. And the client can pay me directly with ACH there, and it can go through, like, it goes through the bank account, my Payoneer bank account, and can go directly
That's
to the
right.
Payoneer account.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so that's one thing I really do like. We do have, well, we have a question from Joan, but this is more of, um, this
Okay.
is
So I see that question from Joan, and maybe what I can say is that depending on when you created your Payoneer account, if it's already old and if it's several years ago, it might actually make more sense to sign up again, use a different email address, click on the community link, and then what we can do, Jason, is we can merge old accounts and new accounts. So that if the old account, for example, was already linked to a marketplace like Upwork and they've forgotten the password, if they create a new account, we can merge the new account with the old account. So there's nothing to be done on the Upwork side, and then it will then just seamlessly connect to the new account.
okay. Thanks for that, Miguel.
So we've actually done this for a lot of our users here, because I know that a lot of freelancers, especially those that probably got started several years ago, they signed up for Payoneer, but then they stopped using it, and then they want to start using it again because it's the service has greatly expanded in terms of features and in terms of functionality. And if they're having a difficult time with accessing their old account, we would be happy to sort of help you get back into using Payoneer. And Jason, we can have a discussion as to how we can potentially collate some of those people in your community that are maybe struggling with old accounts but want to sign up again. And then we can see which ones of those we can sort of merge, so allow them to reaccess or regain control of the Payoneer account that they originally created with Upwork, for example.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, I'll definitely ask the community so that they can also. Well, the good news is that they can also avail of the bonuses we're offering
That is
them.
correct.
Yep.
That is correct. That is correct. So there are some caveats there. If it's been a long time, that's great. But if you signed up, for example, just late last year and something like that, then it may no longer be applicable. But we will discuss it on a case-to-case basis.
Okay, good to hear. We have a couple of other questions here. Well, Ruel's, but this was answered. Oops.
Yeah, answered. I see one there, prepaid in purchase items in supermarkets, malls. The answer is yes. No, there's no charge.
It's just like a credit or debit card, correct?
That is correct. Would you suggest that we open a bank account solely for this to avoid any possible card skimming? That's actually a very good question. For me, if you have a bank account already, and if you have internet access to that bank account, so long as the bank account matches the name on your Payoneer account, you don't really need to create a different one. I guess it's more of a personal preference if you want to separate your personal funds, for example, from your business funds. But you can use the same one that you already have now. It's not really an issue.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, Miguel, but when you use the Payoneer card, it takes from the balance. Like if you withdraw or use it over the counter or use it for online purchases, it deducts from your Payoneer balance and not from your bank account, right?
That is correct. So when you use the card, it's a way of directly accessing your Payoneer balance. Once you transfer it to your bank, the funds are no longer in your Payoneer balance because they're now in your bank.
Okay, Ruel's question got answered here.
Is there a prepaid card advisable to be linked up? Typical one that we see linked up a lot is Union Bank Eon. They have a very nice product that's very easy to avail of that you can also then use when you register for Payoneer. You can just input your Eon card number and you're off and running.
Is that
Can we?
prepaid Eon or is that bank account Eon?
So the prepaid Eon will work also. That this is the one that is basically it's an online account, right? It has to have the Visa thing on it, though. I don't know if they have other variants which don't have the Visa thing, but this is the Eon one that is that has the it's like the Visa prepaid card.
Bernie has a question over here. Can I use my card even if it's still not activated? And wants to know if he's still going to pay the annual fee.
Okay, so if you don't activate your card, you won't get charged the annual fee, to my understanding. Um, if you activate it, yes, of course you will. You can't use it unless you activate it. But again, if the card was ordered a long time ago, then it's different from how it is now. So, say for example, if you signed up using the link for the community, the card is optional. You do not need to get the card because there is an added cost to the card. The card costs $29.95 a year. And that's why what I typically suggest is just link your bank account or just link your Eon so that you don't need to pay the additional $29.95. The $29.95 though can be useful if you want immediate access. And this plays to another point, and I don't know how extensively you've discussed these sorts of topics, Jason, in your community, but you know it's well known that there are services out there that that provide in caching, right? So they call them PayPal encashers or other online money encashers. They give you instant access to the money so that you don't have to wait. And I was talking to a friend recently, and he was saying that on a 20,000 peso encashment, he would typically charge 400 pesos. So in that particular instance, the card is actually a better option because you would only pay 200 pesos if you use the card and you needed immediate access to your funds.
That's a pretty unique scenario with encashment. We don't.
Yeah, no, because I know that obviously with freelancers, speed of funds availability is one of the key concerns. Once you get paid, you want to access the funds immediately, and this is why I guess these in-casher services do exist. But with the Payoneer card, that makes it less of an issue because you can immediately now access it if you cannot wait the 24 to 48 hours for the funds.
And Edmar has a question here.
Edmar, can we use Payoneer to send funds to Western Union and the likes? Unfortunately not, unless the Western Union or the other service provider will accept the payment from a MasterCard, and you have a card in your account, we are unable to send funds to Western Union because the focus of Payoneer primarily is business-to-business payments, whereas Western Union and the like are more person-to-person or consumer-to-consumer payments. It's a good question here from Marvin. Payoneer as a payment gateway. So this we get asked a lot, and I guess it's also related to Payoneer's focus, which is we really are more of a business-to-business payment provider rather than a business-to-consumer or B2C provider, which is a typical use case for payment gateways. So we're probably not going to be doing that anytime soon. But what we can do is we can connect to other payment gateways such as Stripe, such as to Checkout, so that if you are using that, you can connect Payoneer to those services, receive the funds in dollars, and then get the best possible foreign exchange rate from dollar to peso.
Anna has a question here.
How long can we receive the 100 bonus if I get payments from the, okay, another very good question. So if you receive funds from a marketplace, we can typically credit the bonus in 3 to 4 days. So this is very quick because we know where the funds have come from, and we can immediately recognize that this is a payment from, say, for example, Upwork or whatever it is. With direct clients, it takes a little bit longer because there is some additional due diligence that we need to undertake to make sure that the payments are from legitimate sources and for a legitimate business transaction. So it can sometimes take up to 3 months to receive the bonus if you have a direct client, but we are working on making this 1 month. And I believe that moving forward, we should be able to credit within 1 month if it is a legitimate payment from your direct client.
Okay, we can move on to Bernie's question, but this is probably related to the gateway question earlier.
Yeah, Marvin, thank you. Using to checkout link to Payoneer. Thanks for clearing. You're very welcome, Marvin. Thank you. Payoneer card which I use to purchase. How much is the cost of the card? Is there a charge? Okay. So answered that a little bit earlier. Cost of the card is $29.95 a year, and there is no charge to use it to make payments online and offline.
There's a question from Bernie here. Here we go. If it can be used for Alibaba, but that's more of a gateway question.
Yeah.
So it can't be used for Alibaba payments.
No, not at the moment.
Okay. It seems like there aren't any more pending questions. Yeah, Jonah was a bit late, so she didn't hear the 29.95 charge for the card. But for all of you guys that have any pending questions, or if you have questions that come up later, feel free to ask them in our threads in the Work at Home Pinoy's Facebook group, and we'll be glad to answer them there. Thank you, Miguel, for taking the time to explain the different options that freelancers have when it comes to earning in different currencies. We really appreciate you taking the time to share this with us. And thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you, Jason. Can I just say again that what you guys are doing is just amazing. I see that the community has grown so quickly. There's a lot of engagement, which means that a lot of people are helping each other. And, for me, it's, I really get a lot of satisfaction seeing people start an international digital entrepreneurship journey, right? So all the best to all of you. Congratulations on all your success. And Jason, thank you again.
You're welcome, Miguel. And you're welcome to everybody who's saying, there are a couple of people who are saying thank you. You're welcome, everybody, and you guys have a good evening.
Bye, guys.